Okay, part two, I guess. Yesterday I went live on Facebook. The sound quality sucked, so I'm going to do it again here on Periscope. You all know, well, many of you will have seen the massive concerted attack on Tommy Robinson in the Jewish Chronicle this week. 3 articles, two so-called news items, and one opinion piece by the editor of the Jewish Chronicle. It contained the news piece, which I dissected on Jihad Watch, contained just a continual stream of negative comments against Tommy Robinson, with absolutely no one to talk for Tommy at all, except for a few of his own tweets. They didn't contact him, which would have been the journalistically correct thing to do. They just wrote about him. Now, it can be done differently. Jewish Telegraph's coming out with something today. They're a paper in Manchester, a Jewish paper in Manchester. They messaged me, said, "You seem to know Tommy, can you get us in touch with him?" Sure. And they did a nice long telephone interview with him. And the results of that will come out today, and I think it will blow apart the so-called reporting of the Jewish Chronicle, which was a thinly disguised attack piece. Now, Stephen Pollard, the editor, I'm reserving this for him. He wrote the most amazing piece. Basically, he, along with a quote from the British Board of Deputies, using that quote from the Board of Deputies, which basically says no Jewish organisation, no reputable Jewish organisation should partner with or have any contact with Tommy Robinson if they want to be a reputable Jewish organisation. I've emailed actually the Board of Deputies as a press inquiry. I would like to know who else is on their list of on this list of people who Jews in the UK should not talk to or have any contact with. And in the second news article that the Jewish Chronicle printed, they printed an entire news article based on a lawyer, Mr. Fernenstein, because he appeared in one of Tommy's videos last week, done by the Rebel. It's a video about the shopkeeper who put up the sign saying "Don't fund terrorist," and the police showed up with jackboots and said, "Take that sign down or we're shutting your shop." And Rebel obviously hired this lawyer. He happens to be a Jew. I mean, where is the problem in hiring a Jewish lawyer? So the Jewish lawyer appears on this film and says he's going to work with the shopkeeper, because it seems that the police should have no right to show up at your shop and say, "Take down a sign or we're shutting your shop," because there is no law in England about saying don't put up a sign that says "Stop funding terror." I guess if your sign said "Please send money to ISIS," would the police show up? I don't know. But "Stop funding terror" got him with the police. Anyway, they pick a lawyer, happens to be Jewish. It's not a crime to be a Jewish lawyer yet. But because that lawyer appeared in a video with Tommy Robinson, the Board of Deputies and the Jewish Chronicle write an article condemning that lawyer and demanding that this lawyer say he doesn't agree with any of the politics of Tommy Robinson, despite not knowing what they are, and that he fully supports the Board of Deputies in their denunciation of Tommy Robinson. Essentially, I think it's an unprecedented attack by one individual, on one individual. So that's why I've asked for their list of other deplorables who Jews are not allowed to have contact with. Now, it seems every time I come to this, every single time I come to this, why are you talking with Tommy? Why are you talking with Tommy? He's a racist. It comes down to one photograph, which everybody sends me, of Tommy at a BNP meeting. This story is explained in his book. He's explained it to me personally. He explained it to me before he wrote his book. I'd heard the story I don't know how many times. He's talked about it on TV, on podcasts. It's all over the place if you want the actual story. Here's the story, very quickly. About 7 years ago, 8 years ago, the only people in Britain who were talking about Muslim rape gangs taking non-Muslim girls and raping them unfortunately, were the racists of the British National Party. The British National Party are skin racists. They had literature saying no blacks allowed. They are out and out complete racists. They are also Jew haters. They are fully bought into the Jews control the world and the Zionists are evil and the protocols of endless desire. That's who the BNP are. They are despicable. Tommy didn't know that. Why did he not know that? Probably because the UK media go out of their way not to talk about who the BNP are. So what Tommy did notice was that they were saying things about Muslim rape gangs, and Tommy had relatives and friends disappear off into the dark world of being sex trafficked by these gangs. So he went along to one of their meetings, signed a form, paid a membership fee. That form and that membership fee eventually got leaked onto the internet, so Tommy's real name showed up on that leaked list of BNP members. He never really, as far as I know, he didn't deny it, but what happened was he went to one meeting. They said some things that he agreed with. He didn't really get hold of their whole racist thing. He just didn't occur. So he went along the next time and he took one of his black mates, because Tommy grew up in a totally multiracial, multi-ethnic background. He was friends with black people, Muslims, brown people, every colour. It didn't matter. He's just totally non-racist as far as I can tell. Anyway, he went along with a black person, got to the door. The bouncer said, "No, your friend can't come in." Tommy told them, "Fuck off." That was when Tommy realised that they were skin racists, and he rejected that utterly. All through the time of the EDL, they spent a huge amount of effort rejecting BNP people, or National Front people, or Combat 18, or all of these out and out absolute Nazi tattoo-wearing racists. They rejected that, and in fact, this is the serious point in this. The EDL was the antidote to those people. The EDL was non-racist. It had a gay division. I'm still very friendly with the chap who started and ran the LGBT unit of the division of the EDL. It had Jews. It did have a few Jews. They were absolutely berated by the Dhimmis at the Board of Deputies, but it had Jews. I supported them. Well, I watched them very carefully from afar. I helped out a bit in the background. I kept a very close eye on the leading people. Tommy was one of the leading people. His cousin Kevin Carroll, also a lovely chap. I never had any problem with them, and most of the people I found doing things behind the scenes were good, solid, non-racist, not interested in skin color, thinking only about the ideology of Islam, the ideas in people's head, not the color of their skin or their ethnic background or where they came from. It is even unfair to say that the EDL were anti-immigrant. They never talked about immigration back then. And Tommy, to this day, he still doesn't talk about immigration. The problem that Tommy addresses, and the problem that Jews in the UK should be addressing more carefully, is what does an increasing level of Islam in their society do for Jews? That's it. What does the Quran say about Jews? What does the life of Muhammad, what does the stories that the Muslims tell their children, child stories about slaughtering Jews in Khaybar, look it up. What do those stories that they teach to little children, what do they mean for Jews living in Britain going forward? And the Board of Deputies, you look at their website today, which for some reason seems to be blocked in Israel, but anyway, I used a VPN. You look at their website today, it is full of Muslim outreach, and we need to be friends, and we have to support each other against Islamophobia for the Muslims and anti-Semitism for the Jews. Well, I never say anti-Semitism, I always say Jew hatred. Anti-Semitism was a stupid word invented by a German who hated Jews and who became a mentor to Hitler. That's the provenance of the word anti-Semitism. I do not use it. I say Jew hatred. If you hate Jews, you are a Jew hater. Islamophobia, made up stupid word. Islam is an ideology. Yes, you can hate it. You can hate that ideology. You can believe that it is a bad idea. It is full of bad ideas. This does not mean, and Tommy says this and I say this, we all say this, Muslims are victims of Islam too. And you cannot hate all Muslims for the ideology that they're born into. This is absolutely essential. But people at the Jewish Chronicle don't want to hear this. In fact, they don't want you to hear this. So at the mere suggestion that some Jews in Manchester went to a meeting and Tommy told the truth that he always tells about Islam, and he's very, very well informed. He did read the Quran while he was on his second prison stretch, and coming out soon will be a version of the Quran with his name on the cover. That's going to be fun. How the hell are you going to burn that? It's got Tommy Robinson's name on the front, but it's actually the full English translation of the Quran, just reordered. The point is, the Board of Deputies absolutely wants to deny the nature of Islam, and they want to deny what is going to happen as the level of Islamification of Britain goes up, what that's going to mean for Jew hatred in the UK. There's no way it will go down. There is no way that as the population of Muslims goes up in the UK, as their push towards Islamic piety increases, which it always does, as that happens, if they read their scriptures, if they read the stories about the life of Muhammad, if they read how he killed the Jews in Khaybar, if they read how he was poisoned by a Jewess, this is one of the foundational stories of Islam. It's alleged that one of his wives, which was a wife that he took from a Jewish tribe that he killed, she eventually poisoned him. They have a huge theological debate over whether she used mutton or goat, whether she was poisoned mutton or poisoned goat. 3 or 4 years later, he dies, and they attribute it to the poison given by this woman, which also is what is the same reason, by the way, why they're so keen to push the Arafat was poisoned by the Jews line, because it puts Arafat, supposedly secular rubbish, that puts Arafat into a story about Muhammad. This is a massively important tool within their own society for controlling their people. All of this stuff is stuff that Tommy knows, he tells. He went on Piers Morgan and he quoted this quote from the Prime Minister of England standing up and saying that there'll never be peace while this hateful book is around. This kind of stuff is true. I'm sorry, Board of Deputies. I'm sorry if it breaks community cohesion. Now, the people you should be talking with, Board of Deputies, are the ex-Muslims. People who have been brought up as a Muslim, who know its inner workings, and who have consciously and publicly left. Those are the people you should be talking to, but you don't. You go off and you meet snake-fork-tongued imams who tell you what you want to hear, who do peace and light, who speak in a totally different language. They say the word peace, but what they mean is submission to Islam. That's what peace means. That's their peace. And it's the same in Israel. We've been offered the same peace deal forever. The peace that is on offer from the Arabs, and always will be on offer, is that if we submit to Islam, if we become Dhimmis, if we become ruled by Islam again, and we stop being free Jews in a free Jewish country, able to do Jewish things whenever we want, wherever we want, able to pray in Hebron, able to pray. Oh wait, we can't pray on the Temple Mount. Wait, why is that? Yeah, because Diane handed it back to the Muslims, who still forbid us from praying at our holiest site. So we're left with second best at the wall, which is just that wall was a latrine for centuries under the Turks. It's where the animals shat, and Jews went to pray there nevertheless. That's the deal that's on offer to us. Tommy will tell you all this. He knows it much better than you. He knows Israel better than most of you. He's driven up and down Judea and Samaria, places that you're scared to go to because you don't want to cross that green crayon line. He understands what Israel is. He understands it's the bulwark. It represents the first nation in modern times to where an indigenous people has reclaimed their land from jihad. We were conquered by jihad. We took it back. We fought for it. We had to kick out the British as well. I'm sorry about that. In another video, I'll answer all your questions about the King David bombing and so forth. But we were the indigenous people returning to our land. We had an incredibly strong passion for it. We have an incredibly strong passion for it, which is why we're still here. And it's why that the low-grade war, the terrorist war that the Palestinians fight against us is the wrong type of war. I mean, I'll tell them this, they won't change. They're fighting a war to remove a colonial occupier, only we're not colonial occupiers, we are the indigenous people. So their war will not succeed. The tactics are the correct tactics to get the French out of Algeria, or the British out of Israel, or the British out of India, or the British out of almost anywhere else you can imagine. Their tactics are correct for doing that, because what do the British care about Hyderabad. They don't. They have no real attachment to it. It was financial. They left. You know, you pissed them off enough, you made it too hard to run the place, they'll leave. That's what we did here. We pissed them off enough, the Arabs pissed them off too. It was too hard to run the place, they left. We're here because we absolutely want to. For 2,000, 3,000 years, we've prayed towards Jerusalem over there. We can't imagine Judaism without Israel. Judaism is linked to Israel. Anyway, Tommy understands all of that stuff. The Board of Deputies don't want you Jews in the UK to talk to Tommy because he might tell you stuff like he's been to a refugee camp in Bethlehem and he's seen the shit conditions there, and he's heard honest Palestinians in the camps tell him, yeah, the Palestinian Authority is a complete kleptocracy and it's run like a mafia and it steals everything. Tommy was kicking a football with little Palestinian kids in the streets, in these narrow little alleyways in a refugee camp in Bethlehem. Why were we kicking a ball about in a street? Because there is not a single playground in this refugee camp that's been there 50 years. Why? More money has been poured into the Palestinian refugees per capita than almost any other people on earth. And they can't even make a football pitch because they are run by Arabs who ascribe to a core ideology of Islam which drives them. Their highest goal in life is to kick the Jews out of here. They won't rest until that's done, or until they've filled their Swiss bank accounts themselves. So that's what we're dealing with. Tommy knows all of this. The Board of Deputies does not want you Jews in England to listen to him. Do not listen to Tommy if you are a fan of the Board of Deputies of British Jews, or the Board of Dhimmis of British Jews. Otherwise, have a look on YouTube. There's many hours. Please send me a clip where he's racist, where he talks about skin color, where he says chuck out all the immigrants. Please find me those clips, send them to me. Find me the tweets where he tells me those things. If you can find the clip of him punching the Nazi, that's good, because he was arrested for punching a man who threw a Sieg Heil salute, and he wasn't charged, fortunately, with that one, but he did punch the guy. You know, we're supposed to be allowed to punch Nazis these days. He did it. Anyway, I'll vouch for Tommy. He's a rough background, football hooligan past, but he's got 3 kids. He must have an amazing wife. I've never met her. I don't know how she does what she does. But to the Board of Deputies of British Jews, you are execrable. And really, honestly, I don't like saying this. Jonathan Arkush, I think, is a good guy. He spoke very nicely at the Al-Quds parade. But listen, hey, listen, you want to say you're forbidden from talking to Tommy Robinson, yet somehow, after all these years, since 1979 or whenever it started in London, they have this Al-Quds Day Hezbollah terrorist march in London. And you, Board of Deputies of British Jews, and all your connections and all your friendly MPs, you haven't managed to stop that terrorist march walking through London? What kind of people are you? You obviously have no power. You have no influence. Why should we listen to you? Obviously, the British government doesn't listen to you enough to say, hey, maybe a group, Hezbollah, that basically invented modern suicide bombing, that blew up hundreds of US Marines in one of the largest car bombings ever, those people shouldn't be allowed to march openly through the streets of London in a march paid for by an Iranian terror regime? Yeah, okay. But meanwhile, the Board of Deputies has got a hell of a lot of time to devote 3 articles to little old Tommy Robinson, who's doing his best to wake the British people up, who was on Newsnight in 2011 telling Paxman about Muslim rape gangs when nobody wanted to hear it. And he's totally vindicated now, now that it's starting to be on TV. Anyway, that's far too long a rant. Hope you've all enjoyed this. Just to say again, I'm drinking my culturally appropriated Italian espresso in the park, in the forest in Tel Aviv, Bereshit Forest it's called, which is it means Bereshit is the beginning of the Bible. It's Garden of Eden, I guess. And it's gorgeous here. It's not too hot yet. I'm really early. And see you all next time. This has been Brian of London in Tel Aviv.